Bitch, I'm floating. Bitch, and I'm floating out here. Slow down. And I look up. I see an alligator. And I am like, oh, shit. I try like to lane shit. And I was gagging because all you heard was, boom. Hello, beautiful people. How are you feeling today? It's your favorite spiritual auntie, Auntie Fiji with Wterfiji with the good. You already know the fucking rest. Thank you for being patient. Now, before we get into this, make sure that you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, click the bell, share the 3 hoes because y'all know I'm a simple bitch. Now, this here is only just that I come back with a favorite of all, TT's Theory. TT's Theory is going to be about one of the most haunted highways in the U.S. One of, being that there's plural, there's multiple. Not saying that this is the most. Some of y'all a little slow, so you can keep it going. Girl, fuck you! Anyways, Highway Interstate 4. Now this connects Tampa to Daytona Beach. However, this particular area, what I'm referencing, if you ask me personally, especially like when you look at the timelines and everything like that, not only was it a pivotal point in what helped Florida become Florida, it was also pivotal for Walt Disney's vision in Disney World, okay? And we're gonna get into those things in there, okay? So follow me. Sanford, Florida. Sanford, Florida is probably like 15, 20 minutes north of Orlando, which y'all know that's where Disney World is, okay? Now, the timeline is like the late 19th century, so like the late 1800s, okay? After Florida officially became a U.S. state after following the Seminole Wars, which lasted from 1816 all the way up until 1835, there was a lot of production that was happening in the U.S. One of the most pivotal battles, which also took place in another city that's like 15 minutes west of me. At the time it was called Dade, now present day you might know it as Tampa Bay. Dade's battle, she was cunt. Now I'm gonna tell you why she was cunt. Predominantly the culture of people who were inhabiting the area were the Mayacan tribe. They're also known as the Yoruba tribe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but they were occupying the area. Some of the wars, US is like, hey boo, listen, you're gonna have to come up off that land. In Dade, at Fort Brooke, you know, in Tampa, present day Tampa, there were about 110, you know, soldiers. Now the Mayacan tribe, seeing them marching, you know, minding their own business, y'all know, chalk stain business, marking up the sidewalks and shit. Mayacan tribe members was like, we finna go roll up on them. So they come up in there, they see that they got their 110 people, they raised them 70 because they coming in 180 deep. This Dade's battle that happened in present day Tampa was the kickstart that started the second, I'm just gonna call it like round of the Seminole Wars, which was also like one of, was it the longest? I think it was like the longest round. The second one was the longest round of wars and things that were happening in the second little strut of the Seminole Wars. So that's why this battle is so cut, and it happened so close to home, which is so freaking crazy to me. Listen, they were only left with 3 soldiers left remaining to go run back to their fort, their base, with their tails tucked between their legs. And that's why this battle was so cut, because them Indians wasn't playing with them. Them Indians beat their ass. Now mind you. After the Seminole Wars was over, the Department of Agriculture, along with the governor of Florida, basically was like, listen here, we're going to establish Florida's land as the Florida Land and Colonization Company. So basically this whole purpose was for it to populate the state with a whole bunch of workers. The only reason why the Native Americans lost really was because after coming in contact with the Europeans, they lost to decimation from diseases and just war, and they just finally all started just like passing on. After the Seminole Wars was over, Florida needed to recultivate, repopulate, and the colonization company, with that being the purpose to colonize the state with workers, this is where the Swedish indentured servants come in at. If y'all know what an indentured servant If you ask me, it's basically a slave with a contract, but hey, these contracts last anywhere between like 4 to 7 years, and it's typically for like a place to stay and some food. Yes, they took them people from Sweden and they brought them on over here. Now, here's the funny thing, which is what I was also picking up on when I did my research. Sweden's economy was in shambles after the Great North War. Sweden lost badly, and after a while, around this period in the late 19th century, they had to go backwards and turn to agriculture for means of life and way of living, because after the Great War, their economy was just, they were going through economic crisis and stagnation in the economy. So US was like, hey, listen, y'all ain't got no economy over there. Boo, come over here where the grass is green on the other side. And so they snatched them agriculture in Sweden people, Wterfiji people, and they threw them out there in the field to pick oranges. And that is how Florida grew to become the biggest manufacturer for oranges and citrus and things like that, because that's what agriculture, Sweden people doing it, boom, indentured servants. Now, after about a decade of establishment of becoming Florida, now Florida becoming this huge populating agriculture for oranges, and you know, they're chewing it, they're doing the damn thing. There was a horrible and mysterious freak fire that scorched and singed every crevice and life of vegetation to that field. But the funny thing is, there was a freak freeze that happened simultaneously while the fire broke out. But I want to say of course the freeze happened first, then the fire. But still, it don't never, name the last time it snowed in Florida. I don't know. It sounds like it was a little bit of a weather manipulation, if you ask me. After that freak fire and that historic freeze that froze the settlement, it wasn't much left for them to work with anything. But this is exactly how the colonizers, you know, they conquer and they pull apart and they break down from the inside, and then they try to clean it up. And that's exactly what happened, because then the first original inhabitants of what Florida was becoming, and of course, you know, the area that they were in, Sanford, Florida, they were called St. Jude's Colony. St. Jude's Colony was run, or their mayor was Father Swerdlow, but Father Swerdlow ended up catching yellow fever, which was prevalent. Like I said, the Indians were decimated by disease and war. Same thing that happened here within these indentured Swedish servants. They were decimated by disease, maybe not war. I mean, it was a mental war, but hey, it's all of the same nature. And there was no colonizers, or no colonists, sorry. They're both the same. There were no colonists left to take up for the land. So that's when it was absorbed, aka taken, aka snatched, give me that, by the Lake Monroe Township. Okay, fast forward. Now, Disney World was created in 1971. It took them a good bit to get that interstate together, but hey, anyways, in the early 19th century, farmer Al Hawking and his wife purchased a big settlement of the land. Now, when they purchased a big settlement of the land, it was for makeshift tombstones on his land property, which was known as like the Field of the Dead. Well, to him, that particular area, but he was very respectful of the burial plots and the tomb sites of whoever was buried there. And he never plowed over it, knocked it down, disrespected the dead. He built around it, and he was like, for whoever wants to come in here on my land, or for whoever wants to, you know, respect my space, and this is a part of my space, so I want to respect that, so respect it all. Well, the farmer got sick and he passed away, so now his wife is a widow. And Walt Disney, you know, he's
like, oh, we're so sorry to hear that. We're so sorry to hear that. Let us know if you need anything. But I would love to know if I can take your land apart.
And she wasn't going for it at first. He mustered up the charisma to finally talk her out of it. And mind you, it was like right after the husband funeral. He was
like, hey, but listen, if you just sell us your land, you can't take care of it all by yourself. The boys are gone. Your husband's gone. I think that you should allow us to buy the land from you, and you can go off and start a new life. What we're doing here by building Walt Disney World, we are cultivating a community and a society that can bring us all closer together and live harmoniously. And that is what the vision of Disney World is.
And she fell for it. So she sold him the land, and then boom, you know, whenever I don't remember the exact date when it was sold, but hey, we have Walt Disney World years later. After the completion of Highway Interstate 4, there was a lot of freak accidents, paranormal phenomena, and even natural disaster occurrences that have hit this specific stretch since it has been completely built over on top of. One year there was 2 hurricanes and a number of tornadoes that hit that specific stretch all inside the same year. There has been countless of accidents that has happened since 1963. There has been over like 3,000 car accidents off of this specific stretch alone. That's some scary shit. You know, it's only folklore. There are some extravagant situations that some people can get themselves into. I mean, but hey, is it all folklore? Are these just dry fables? Tailless tales? I don't know, who knows? But what I do know is I can account for one of those fables, let me tell you. Me and my boyfriend at the time, I was taking him back home to Florida to show him where I was from. Now, I know the area. I'm from it. Hell, I would hope I would know it. And as we were traveling, and we made it just outside of, I'm going to say on the outskirts of the area, because I was trying very hard to avoid it because I already know what can happen. I then decided to stroll and stumble upon an area that I was very familiar with, and I reminded my boyfriend at the time. I said, "Hey, baby, listen.
We are by water. This is Florida, baby. We are by a lot of water. And we have stubborn baby alligators."
Now, to me, as a Floridian, baby alligators are like, you know, I mean, you got your like your tiny bitty, you know, your bitty like hatchling baby alligators. But when I'm like, oh girl, that's just a little baby. Like, they're like juveniles. You know, they're juvenile alligators. So I was referencing the juvenile alligators as baby alligators because to me, that's a baby. And so when I said, hey, babe, there's like baby alligators that might be in like the middle of the road and they won't move. They'll wait for you to move around her. Be careful. And he's like, I'll run that thing over. I'm like, you're funny. You're funny. Because I'm like, bitch, you will fuck up your car. And he was gagging like, well, how big, what's a baby? How big is a baby? I don't know. So he's like paranoid at this point. He doesn't want to drive anymore. So we decide to switch spots. So I'm driving. He's dozing. I'm jamming to my Kaylani. Y'all know that's like my bestie and stuff. Just like how you were supposed to drop the deluxe album for Ish. It was good until it wasn't, because you didn't drop that yet. Oop, yeah, got her. And so, you know, I'm just singing my song. I am zooming, baby. I am floating. And out of nowhere, I just know that I heard a voice tell me, like, slow down. And I'm like, so I look at my boyfriend. I'm like, this nigga sleep. Okay, bitch, I'm floating. Bitch, and I'm floating out here. Slow down. And I turn down the radio, and as I'm turning down the radio, I hear look. And I look up. I see an alligator. Half of its body was hanging in the lane that I was driving in, and the other half of the body was like on the side of, like on the grass part of the road. And I am like, oh shit. Everything was just like so slow motion. I was trying to think quick on my feet. I try like to lane shift after realizing that nobody's on the other side of the road. And I try to go back over, and the alligator like opened up its mouth and like charged at the car. And I was gagging because all you heard was boom. And I was like, oh my God. In the car, tailing out of control. And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, Lord Jesus, sweet baby Jesus, born in the manger, Jesus, 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 Jesus. I'm sitting here, bitch, I'm thinking I'm about to die. My boyfriend wakes up out of his sleep and he's like, what the fuck happened? What's going on? And I'm like, well, Jesus, take the wheel. So I'm sitting there with my arms folded. Jesus, take the wheel. Baby, arms is folded. I'm gonna let him take it. And he's like, He's like, Isaiah. I was like,
hey, babe, just, I got this.
because God told me to take the wheel. God told me to take the wheel. Oh, by Shatai. Oh, shut up. So sometimes when you say Jesus take the wheel, sometimes you just gotta grab it and let him direct you. God told me to grab the wheel, and cause hello, I saw death when I let go. I remember like at one point, like it was still, I just could not get control, and I was trying again, and I was like, God, I do not know what I'm going to do here. At this point, we're on a two-lane street. There's trees everywhere. I just saw us hitting a tree and like me killing both of us. I saw death. It was one point. Jesus take the wheel. I let go. I just closed my eyes. Lord, let it be quick. That's all I kept saying. And God said, grab the wheel now. And when I looked up, I saw, not mind y'all. Y'all know I'm not the best drawer, because I still remember what he looks like, because that man really saved me and my boyfriend's life that day. I saw a man. Y'all do not laugh at my drawing, because y'all know, like, this is literally like a quick sketch, and I'm not an artist. Hold on, girl, this kind of fire a little bit, girl. I don't know. He looks something like this, okay? Now, this was the man who I saw standing in front of the car. It was almost like he was literally like 3D, like in front of him. And the crazy thing was, what really mustered up the strength for me to instinctively just know what to do in that situation to regain control of that car. I was like, Lord. And not looking at it, I was fine just allowing Jesus to take me and my boyfriend out. But when I saw this other person, this random man, I was like, oh Lord, I can't pass on with that on my mind, on my heart. I don't know what I did. I just remember like grabbing the steering wheel, and like I pressed on the brake. I just like twisted and I turned, and I twisted and I turned. I did something with like the shift, bitch. I felt like I was in Fast and Furious or something. And the car like drifted, and it skirted to the opposite side of the road. Mind you all, while we're drifting to the opposite side of the road, I see an 18-wheeler coming. Oh. I said I wanted it to be quick. This is painful. I knew I was gonna get crushed, but I was able to get us off the road in the dirt to the side. And I'm in shock, and I'm sitting here trying to process the fact that we just almost died. And my boyfriend says, that was so amazing. You're really good. What? Nigga, we just almost died. What are you talking about? No, like, do you know that that's like one of the tests that we have to do when you go to like training to be a cop? Like, and you did so well. Like, are you sure you're not a cop? You should become a cop. He used to always say that shit all the time. Like, when that happened, he was just like, yeah, you make a great officer. And I said, that's the problem. Because if I make a great officer off of a fucking driving maneuver, y'all letting anybody get badges. That ain't got shit to do with me. It was a very scary and traumatic event for both of us. We ended up getting to our hotel. I took a shower. He took a shower. And we ended the night with pure pleasure. But that's besides the point. This TT's theory was about one of the most, if not the most, haunted interstate in Florida, I-4. And with that being said, I want you all to have a beautiful, blessed, and abundant, highly favored and favorable rest of your evening, rest of your week, rest of your year. And I hope that you really take the time to really check in with yourself. I want you all to take 60 seconds and ask yourself, just sit with yourself for 60 seconds and just ask yourself, how do I feel in this present moment? How do I feel? And then journal it. Put it in your notes, write it down on it. Like, please check in with yourself, because a lot of y'all been working real hard since the beginning of this year. A lot of y'all have goals. A lot of y'all are almost close to getting those goals, and a lot of y'all haven't even taken the time to acknowledge the fact that you're still here and that you have overachieved and succeeded and surpassed way farther than what you thought you would have gotten 3 months ago. But you're here today. and you're still pushing yourself, and you haven't even given yourself the time and opportunity to acknowledge yourself and really reward yourself, pat yourself on the back, tell yourself that, bitch, you're doing good. Bitch, you're still here. Fuck. That goal is going to get there. That goal is still going to be there. You're still going to get there at the end of the day. At the end of the year. Don't stress. Stop stressing it. For real. Girl. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I love you all. Speak with the expectation that someone will understand. I'll speak trying to be understood. And, Ashe.